My father-in-law read my diary aloud at Christmas dinner. Listen to this part. Sometimes I cry in the shower, so no one hears me. Everyone laughed. My husband said, well, maybe try not being so depressing all the time. I didn't touch my food. I just smiled. 2 months later, their bank accounts started showing tiny, unexplained withdrawals every week. I didn't touch my food that night. Not the roasted ham, not the mashed potatoes. I just sat there, frozen in my chair, smiling like a fool while my heart sank deeper into my stomach. It was Christmas dinner at my in-laws. Everyone was there, his parents, his sister, and her husband, even their neighbor from down the road. It was noisy, warm, full of chatter and cheap wine. I'd spent all day helping his mother cook, set the table, fold napkins into stupid little triangles because she liked things to look special. I'd smiled, I'd nodded, I'd laughed when I was supposed to. Then, after dessert, my father-in-law stood up. He had something in his hand. My diary. My fucking diary. Hey, he said, grinning like this was some kind of show. Listen to this part. And he read. He read my handwriting, my words, out loud to the entire table like it was a damn monologue. Sometimes I cry in the shower, so no one hears me. He paused to laugh. What the hell, right? Everyone joined in. Even his wife, the woman who once told me I was like the daughter she never had. My sister-in-law choked on her wine and laughed harder. Her husband wheezed. The neighbor actually clapped. I looked at my husband. He didn't look horrified. He didn't stop them. He just said, well, maybe try not being so depressing all the time. And that was it. That was the moment I left, even if my body stayed in that chair. I smiled. I smiled so hard my jaw hurt. I looked right at them, each of them, with that same dead smile. I didn't cry. I didn't ask them why. I didn't even try to get the diary back. I just sat there while they all laughed at the deepest thing I'd ever written down. I spent years being quiet. Years being the good daughter-in-law. The helpful one. The invisible one. I never raised my voice. I never made demands. I handled their bills when they got confused. I filed their taxes when April rolled around. I set up online accounts for them because they didn't understand how to log in. I paid for things they forgot to. I cooked for them when they were sick. I gave more than I ever had. They gave me mockery,
cruelty,
laughter. So 2 months later, I started small. $6.17 from the corner gas station. I used his father's card. A week later, $4.89 at a coffee shop a few towns over. Then $9.36 for a bag of groceries at a place none of them ever shopped. They didn't notice.
I didn't need the money.
I didn't even want it. I just wanted them to feel confused, unsettled. Like something wasn't quite right, but they couldn't put their finger on it. I kept it steady. Never more than $10. Random places. Odd times. Sometimes I'd go out of my way just to find a place I knew would never show up on their usual routes. Sometimes I made purchases online using their saved cards, ones they never removed because they thought I was still helping. It wasn't just about the money. It was about the silence, the slowness, the way the cracks started to form without anyone knowing who or what to blame. Then the whispering started. His mother would ask, "Did you buy something on my card? There's a charge I don't recognize." His father would snap, "No, maybe you need to stop ordering junk online." My husband started checking his accounts more often, asking weird questions, getting frustrated. I kept smiling. He still expected me to clean up after him. Still expected me to cook and pretend like everything was fine. But at night, while he slept, I scrolled through their banking apps. I watched the numbers change. I kept notes, patterns,
plans.
I became the shadow they never saw coming. And all the while, I never once raised my voice, never accused them of anything, never acted angry, because that's what they'd expect. And I wasn't going to give them that satisfaction. I wanted something else. I wanted them to feel what I felt that night. Exposed, humiliated, powerless. And I was just getting started. Weeks passed. The small charges kept coming. I never missed a week. Always a new place. A new store. Sometimes I didn't even keep what I bought. I threw it away, left it on benches, gave it to strangers. It wasn't about what I got. It was about what they lost. I watched them fall apart in slow motion. One morning, I heard his mother on the phone, her voice shaking. "I think someone's hacked my account. No, I don't know how." "No, I don't use public Wi-Fi." A few days later, his father slammed a drawer so hard it cracked. "If I find out which one of you is stealing from me, I swear to God." The neighbor stopped coming over.
I don't know why.
Maybe she felt the tension. Maybe she just didn't want to be around all the bickering. My husband changed his banking password one night, sitting on the couch next to me. He didn't even look up when he said, "Someone's been messing with my debit card." "You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" I looked him dead in the eye.
No.
"Why would I?" He shrugged. "Just asking. You're always acting weird lately." That's what he said. I was acting weird. That night, he didn't touch me. Didn't even say goodnight. Just turned away and started snoring like I wasn't even there. I laid awake for hours, staring at the ceiling. The rage inside me wasn't loud anymore. It was quiet.
Cold. Steady.
And then something changed. I started going through his emails. He never logged out of anything. I found a folder named Receipts. Hidden but not well. It was full of hotel confirmations. Messages from a woman named L. No last name. Just L. I read every word. He'd been seeing her for almost a year. Dinners. Overnights. One message just said, "Thanks for last night. Still can't believe she hasn't caught on." My stomach didn't twist. My heart didn't race. I just sat there reading. It made sense. Of course he was cheating. Of course. All the coldness, the little jabs, the way he never even noticed me anymore. I was invisible to him unless I was being too emotional or not smiling enough. He didn't love me. He probably never did. He just loved the way I stayed. So I started taking more. Still small amounts. But now I included her. I found her Instagram. Tracked the places she went, the shops she posted from. I added charges to his card that matched hers.
Payback boutique.
A spa in the city. A tiny bookstore that only sold poetry. He started losing sleep. I watched him stare at his screen for hours. "Something's wrong," he muttered. "These places, I've never even been here." I didn't ask him what he meant. I didn't offer to help. I just nodded and kept washing the dishes. A week later, he accused his sister of using his card. Screamed at her over dinner. She screamed back. Their mom cried. Their dad walked out of the room. I sat there, calm, quiet, still invisible, but I was everywhere. In their phones, in their finances, in their fights. I was the ghost inside their walls. And still, they never once apologized. No one ever said, "I'm sorry for laughing at you." No one asked if I was okay. So I took more. But not just money. I started making calls. Quiet ones. From burner numbers. Anonymous tips to credit card companies. Fraud alerts. Password resets. One call to my father-in-law's work, pretending to be a customer complaining about suspicious behavior. He got pulled in for questioning the next week. Came home red-faced and furious. Threw a glass across the kitchen. "I'm being set up," he shouted. "Someone's trying to ruin me." And for the first time, I looked him in the eye. Really looked. And I saw fear. Real fear.
Good.
My husband barely spoke anymore. He was losing weight. Losing sleep. Checking his phone constantly. One night, I found him in the garage, just sitting in his car with the engine off, staring at the windshield like something had broken inside him. Still, he said nothing to me, because I was just the quiet, sad wife. The one who cried in the shower. The one no one ever really saw. But I was still there. Watching. Waiting. Taking pieces of them, one at a time. And I wasn't done yet. It was a Thursday afternoon when the letter came. A plain envelope. No return address. It was placed on the hallway table, mixed in with the usual junk mail. I didn't recognize the handwriting, but I knew the name on the front. His name. My husband's. He opened it at the kitchen counter while I stirred soup on the stove. I didn't say anything. Just listened to the quiet crackle of paper being unfolded. Then I heard him whisper, "What the hell?" I turned and looked. His face had gone pale. He was gripping the letter like it might explode. He didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. That night, while he was in the shower, I pulled the letter out of the trash. It was a printout of screenshots, messages, emails, hotel bookings, photos. Not from me, but from her.
Elle.
It was all the proof of his affair, every bit of it, printed and mailed by someone who wanted him to sweat. But it wasn't me. I hadn't sent that letter. Someone else had. Someone else knew. At first I panicked. Who else could have known about her? Who had access? Then I remembered the neighbor. The one who stopped coming over. She used to come by every afternoon. She had a view straight into our living room from her kitchen window. And I remembered one day, almost 6 months ago, I'd left his phone on the table, screen open, texts from Elle still lit up. Maybe she saw it. Maybe she figured it out. But why now? The next morning, I dropped by her house under the excuse of returning a casserole dish. She looked tired, nervous, fidgety.
She didn't invite me in.
Instead, she said, "I don't want to be in the middle of anything." I looked at her for a long time. "Did you send him something?" Her eyes dropped to the floor. She didn't answer, but I saw the guilt. That's when I realized she wasn't doing it to help me. She was doing it to hurt him. Because a few months back, during one of those loud backyard barbecues, he flirted with her. I saw it. The light touches, the fake compliments, the look in his eyes. She had blushed and laughed it off, but she hadn't forgotten. He humiliated her too. And now, someone else had started peeling him apart.
Good.
Let him feel hunted. Let him feel alone. But that wasn't the only twist. A few days later, his sister showed up at our door. Her face was tight, angry, like she'd been crying but refused to admit it. She didn't even greet me. She went straight to him. "You ruined everything," she hissed. "You dragged me into something I had nothing to do with." He stared at her, confused. "What are you talking about? Dad thinks I stole from him."
He froze my account, Ben.
My own fucking father. They argued for over an hour. Voices rose. Old resentments came pouring out like blood from an old wound. Things I didn't even know about: childhood blame, money fights, favoritism. By the time she stormed out, she was screaming, "I hope she leaves you." She didn't look at me once. And my husband? He just sat on the edge of the couch, shoulders slumped, whispering, "What the hell is happening to me?" It was the first time I felt it, not just satisfaction, but power. Real, cold, heavy power. I had set a fire that didn't need me to feed it anymore. They were burning each other now. And still, none of them suspected me. They were too busy looking outward, blaming each other, blaming strangers, never thinking the quiet one, the one they laughed at, ignored, dismissed, was behind the curtain the entire time. But I still wasn't finished. I had more to take, more to show them, more silence to break. The cracks were deep now, not just in their lives, but in me, too. I didn't feel joy. Not really. I felt calm.
Cold.
Like standing in the snow after a long storm. Everything was quiet, and nothing could grow there. But I still had one thing left to do. I waited for the right day. I picked his birthday. He didn't plan anything, of course. Just a get-together at his parents' house, like always. His sister would bring her fake smile. His mom would make dry cake. His dad would act like he still ruled the world. And he, my husband, would pretend everything was fine. That he hadn't lost control. That he hadn't watched his life slowly fall apart without knowing why. I showed up an hour late, holding a single manila envelope. No gifts. No food. Just the truth. They were already drinking when I walked in. His father laughed too loudly. His mother waved me over with that empty smile. There she is.
Come sit.
I didn't sit. I walked to the center of the room and put the envelope on the table.
My husband stared at it.
What is that? Open it, I said.
He did.
Inside were the screenshots. The ones from the letter. The ones he thought were destroyed. I had added more. Bank statements. Photos. Notes from months of his affair, his lies, his carelessness. There were also copies of charges. Every unexplained dollar from every account, all traced back.
Back to him.
Back to them. I didn't steal from you, I said to his father.
He did.
I didn't ruin your credit, I told his sister. He did. And I didn't send that first letter, I said, locking eyes with my husband. But I sent every single one after. The room was silent. You laughed at my pain, I said, looking at each of them. You read my diary like it was a joke. You made me feel small. So, I made you feel confused. Alone. Just like I did. My husband stood face red. This is sick. You're sick. I walked closer.
Come.
I trusted you. I gave you everything. And you treated me like a burden. His mother's voice broke. Why didn't you just leave? I did, I said. Months ago. Just not the way you expected. I left the envelope on the table and walked out. But I wasn't done. 2 days later, I delivered a package to his job. Not to him, but to HR. Inside. Records of his financial tampering, misuse of company funds, forged receipts. He'd used his work card for some of the purchases. Sloppy.
He was fired by the end of the week.
I mailed a second package to his father's work. Anonymous again. Inside were past due notices and documentation showing that his daughter had been locked out of her own accounts, that he'd shut her down based on false claims. She was furious. She filed a formal complaint. An investigation opened. The family turned on each other like wolves.
And me?
I disappeared from their lives. Moved across the state. Quiet apartment. New name on the mailbox. Nothing fancy.
Just peace.
But I wasn't done punishing myself. Because I had stayed for too long. Let them walk on me for too long. Let myself believe I deserved it.
So I wrote it all down.
Everything. Not in a hidden diary, but online.
Under my real name.
One long story. Not for sympathy. Not for pity. But so the world could know what it meant to be laughed at by people who say they love you. The story went viral. They read it. Everyone did. Strangers emailed me. Women.
Men.
People who cried in their own showers. People who knew what it felt like to be invisible. His name trended for a day. His father's office was called toxic. His sister quit social media. But I didn't smile. Because revenge doesn't fix you. It just clears the way. And one morning, in that quiet apartment, I stepped into the shower and didn't cry. I just stood there breathing.
Free.
Finally.